I'd be pretty confident in saying that back in 1948, the first ever Land Rover that eventually went on to become the Defender didn't have a fridge, head-up display, air-cooled seats, air suspension, couldn't tow 3 ton. But this one can, and it's marking the 75th anniversary of the first ever Land Rover, the car that became the off-roader to beat. And actually, if you have a chance at some point, have a look at Richard Hammond's Drive Tribe YouTube channel, because he found, well, people found that he covered it, the first ever Land Rover that came off the production line. And there's a lovely story to it. It's on Drive Tribe. Have a look when you get a chance. Also very different to the original car is, well, the price. The seats in the back face forward. If you were lucky enough to have seats back then, they didn't. And there's not a huge amount of similarities between the two vehicles. But nonetheless, Land Rover are marking the 75th anniversary. Let's have a look at the car today. Grosmere Green is the limited edition colour that you can get on this vehicle. But again, these Matrix LED headlights, which are fantastic at night time, they weren't on the original car. The plates are made of plastic here, a little bit of black maybe, which is somewhat similar. Good ground clearance on the front of the Defender, you wouldn't expect anything less. And nice silver strip just to break it up. So a very cute looking nose, despite the serious off-road capabilities of this vehicle. I'm pretty sure Stephen Ireland hasn't got a job in Land Rover, so fair to assume he had no hand actor part in the colour of those wheels, but Grosmere Green on the wheels as well. I know the steelies on the original car were a bit colour coded, but anyway. Black gills on it, black mirror housing with blind spot integrated here, black plastic along the side in case you scuff the vehicle. It is very, very tall, you know. Car parks could potentially it's just about getting through the 2 metre. Black roof rails on the side, colour-coded panelling on this part of the vehicle. You do have grab handles inside here for your rear passengers, but there's none on the front part of the vehicle because, again, it is quite high, particularly if you're at a drop like I am here. You can be climbing in and out of it and potentially could slip. Yes, also the spare wheel, which isn't covered, is the same colour. Beautiful LED rear lights that we've seen on the Defender since 2019. This one doesn't have the camera, so you still have the shark fin, but there's less going on in that. And you have your power assisted extra door here because it is quite heavy. But it reveals a really, really usable boot. You get 853 litres in the boot, which really has plenty of space to just move things around, and that's despite it having a battery, because yes, this is actually a plug-in hybrid. It has just over 19 kilowatt hour battery. It'll get you 40 kilometers of range. It's not quite half the size that you get in the larger PHEV battery in the Range Rover, for example, but you can use 50 kilowatts DC charging on it, so you'll get to what you need in less than half an hour, and you can charge it on a wall box at home to full in 2 hours. So you'll get your 40 kilometers each journey, particularly if you can charge in work. Really handy, very flexible kind of canvas parcel shelf, so that just clips into the sides, keep everything out of sight. The surface of the floor and the back of the seats is very, very washable. This kind of nods back to the metal that they would have used on the original vehicle. You can control your air suspension with switches down here. The tow hook can be accessed. You've got lights, shopping hooks. Actually a very practical kind of boot, considering again the ruggedness of the car in some respects. So said grab handle makes climbing into the back much, much easier. And there is tons and tons of room. Flat floor, space for feet under the seats, all the comforts you'd like your own air conditioning, own air vents, armrest. You can of course drop these seats to give you even more space in the back. Panoramic roof on this car. Doesn't exactly go all the way back, but you don't necessarily want all that glass over your boot. Skylights in the back that give you a bit more light in here, and you can't get the extra row of seats in this particular 75th edition, but also the plug-in hybrid, because the battery's under the boot. That impacts the fact that you can't get an extra row of seats in there as well. On some models of the Defender, you can spec the middle seat that is also an armrest, so you can fit an extra child there should you need to. Head height, huge, really, really vast, very comfortable, nice seating position. You can see everything out these windows. Ruggedness is kind of, again, hinted at by these screws that are exposed in the doors. Some people will love, some people might think it's a bit tacky. I think it actually looks alright though. Somewhere to put your phone at least. That definitely, again, wasn't in the original car. I would like a grab handle there just to help you up into the vehicle for those that might need it. We have a head-up display. We've got this really brilliant glass widescreen setup that has been in Range Rovers and Land Rovers and Defenders and the whole kit and caboodle for the last few years. It has rebooted on me once or twice and then just gets back to business, but I don't know why that's happening. It's a little bit strange. Fridge, yes, and it's quite a usable. It's not just like you'd fit a few bottles in there, and there's different levels of intensity on it. That works well. Cup holders work well. USB-C and A charging. Storage spaces down here. There's more screws that are exposed and make it look all rugged. 8-speed automatic gearbox here. Again, for the heated seats and stuff, they're on these wheels that have been in the I-Pace and things like that. Just fully black Defender wheel. Lovely finishes and textures to the inside of the vehicle. Same with the leather seats. Fake leather probably this stage. Very, very comfortable. The cruise control is radar assisted. So yeah, this is all CarPlay and stuff like that. Your weighting options, degrees of bank, slope assist, hill assist, all included here in the car. And if you are going off-road, there's things here for your passengers to grab onto. Now this one has carpet, but you can get washable plastic. Probably advisable if you're going to use it off-road, getting in and out of muddy fields and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's very, very easy on juice if you charge it. I'll explain now because we're about to go for a drive. This car has an air suspension, so even now that I'm a little bit off-road, very uneven, kind of muddy surface, it's still, I mean, yeah, you feel the bumps, but it's very, very comfortable. Like there's a proper, whoa, it's just so soft. You know, it is a car that kind of does off-road like very few else. Engine isn't as big as you might expect, so it's a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but actually sounds a little bit throaty. Like it sounds okay. Now the fact that it's 4-cylinder helps. So that's 300 brake horsepower. This then has the motor, which brings it up to 400 brake horsepower with the two combined. You can drive in just EV mode for about 40 kilometers. That's probably a stretch. Certainly it will do over 80 kilometers an hour in pure EV mode. But what I find is if you leave it in hybrid, or you can save some battery power for later on in a journey or later on in a day, whatever it is, you can't charge it on the go though. Some plug-in hybrids do let you do that. There's also a vast array of engines from Land Rover. Like you've got mild hybrids right up to 5-litre V8s, although those versions will cost you over €215,000 for essentially the same car with a more potent engine. But it's so smooth, it's so refined. You just waft along in this lovely, lovely comfort. Nothing's going to trouble you. You can ram anything out of your way should you wish. Don't do that. It'll tow 3,000 kilograms on the back. Even the plug-in hybrid version of it kind of just does what it says in the tin. You can wade in depths of up to 0.85 meters. Don't go beyond that because you'll damage your warranty and possibly your Defender. But that kind of should be enough wading depth for most people. So it does shift for such a big lump of a thing, even preserving the electrified element of the car. It's still doing 300 brake horsepower. It's still very, very quick. Fuel consumption. If you plug this in, you will get 5 litres per 100 kilometers out of it. If you don't, you will get somewhere between 12 and 15 litres per 100 kilometers. And that's about 20 miles per gallon if you're watching that in the UK. Worst case scenario. I'm also on board with the handling capabilities of it. So it's permanent 4-wheel drive. That obviously contributes to the thirstiness of it if you don't charge the car. But you can chuck it into bends. all the grip you'd ever want because of that permanent four-wheel drive. The Wrangler tyres on this, plenty of grip. I've had it in the wet, the dry. Matrix headlights, I can't sing the praise of them enough, although it has all the safety aids you want. So effectively this 75th anniversary version comes with lots and lots of toys. All the blind spot, the 360 camera is brilliant, especially if you are trying to navigate country lanes or maybe you're going off-road. That's all gonna really help make your job as the driver a lot easier. Fantastic seating position, windscreen is really, really wide. So you're kind of just going to feel pretty happy with yourself, pretty happy with life behind the wheel of this, as far as I'm concerned. Again, purists will understandably say it didn't have all those electric gadgets for going off-road back then. It's true. But that's a bit like saying, you know, telephones were great. They still do essentially the same thing, as in they can call people. But technology, the iPhone has changed the world, so why would you not want to just press a button and let the car do all the worrying about how it's actually going to interlock this and differentiate that? Why bother? It has over-the-air updates, so that screen issue I was talking about earlier on, I'd like to give that a chance to update the software and see if that gets rid of the issue. Apart from that, there's not a rattle. It's so comfortable. I get it's not going to be for everybody, and I get a lot of people are going to go, well, I could have a Range Rover Sport for that money. I just can't get over how quiet and comfortable it is. If you think back to previous generation Defenders, like they were vehicles for doing stuff in fields. They weren't for this. And I suppose you could argue that the essence of the car has kind of deviated an awful lot from the original. But the fact that this can do what it can do off-road, and I got a very brief chance to do, really, I mean, I'd say if this car could talk, it was like, seriously, is this it? But to be able to be a daily usable car, I mean, this thing never has to go off-road if you don't want it. It's a bit of a waste, but the fact that I can do both so well, that's the impressive feat for me. For those of you who'd like to leave comments about the reliability potential of these vehicles, Land Rovers say their warranty claims are down massively since 2020. It's crazy money, €123,000 for this vehicle. That said, it's Range Rover Sport money, which is the more refined car. There's no doubt this is a very livable with Defender though, compared to the ones that, you know, even as recently as the 90s were made to get around in. So it is a head scratcher when it comes to the price, but if you want something a bit cool, if you've got the money for it, something very, very unique, I'm not sure about the wheels. I think they'd have to go, but it's so comfortable. You can run it really efficiently if you do charge it. Depreciation, don't know where to go on that one, but it's a little bit special, if vastly different from the car it's meant to represent. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.